It's episode 646 of the Locked On Rangers podcast. On today's show, I'm breaking down the Rangers trade of Matt Bush, a Jon Gray injury, and what the Juan Soto trade means for the Rangers. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, founder and host for all 4 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Today is Tuesday, August 2nd. It is trade deadline day. I'm recording this at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, so if something breaks during when I'm recording this, of course it is. I did wait for the Juan Soto trade. I was just about to record, and then Juan Soto was traded, and some of the details are coming out as we speak. But your Rangers are 46 and 56. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers and subscribe on YouTube, where we have passed 1,000 subscribers. And the best way you can help grow the show is to comment anything below. Now, let's start with the bad news first. The Rangers lost 7-2 to the Orioles. It shouldn't have been even that close. The Rangers were just absolutely mollywopped and led for absolutely zero of this game. A home run that would only have been a home run in 4 of 30 ballparks, which I didn't think there were going to be that many of those hit in Globe Life Field because it is such a not particularly hitter-friendly park. But Cedric Mullins, on what I believe was the second and third pitch of the game, took Jon Gray yard. He was not great in this one, and he got hurt, which was the main story of this game. Jon Gray had to exit in the second inning in the middle of an at-bat, gave up 4 hits, 1 walk, 4 runs, 3 of those were earned. And it just was not a great day for Jon Gray. That leadoff home run, and he left the game with left side discomfort. We have not heard anything more about that, but I'm a little concerned. I'm glad that it wasn't his elbow or shoulder or anything super concerning, and it wasn't the knee that was bothering him yet again. It was just left side discomfort. This was just not a great sign for the Rangers team that is coming into this series. Winning 3 out of 4 against the struggling Angels probably should have been 4 out of 4, but the bullpen had to blow a game because that's just what they do these days. But the Rangers are just not matching the Orioles. The Orioles literally just traded Trey Mancini, a guy who was the face of the franchise during these horrible seasons, including last year where they had the worst record in baseball, just picked number 1 overall. And another former number 1 overall pick, Adley Rutschman, the guy who I picked to be American League Rookie of the Year, looked very much like it in this game. Had his 19th and 20th doubles of the season, both off of Garrett Richards. Ryan Mountcastle had a double. Ruben Mateo had a double as well. And like I said, Cedric Mullins had his 9th home run of the season. Top of the lineup for this Orioles team after losing Mancini, who was traded to the Astros, very rudely traded to the Astros. Was very emotional before the game, giving hugs, was out on the field, and was traded right before this game. He was saying it was so hard to leave this club. They literally saved his life. In case you don't know about Trey Mancini, it's a wonderful story, great human being, had cancer. He underwent treatments, missed the 2020 season, came back, and has been just absolutely fantastic, beloved by his teammates, beloved by the franchise. This was a devastating move for the team and the locker room in general. I mean, the Orioles were not supposed to be good this year, and they have been one of the hottest teams in baseball since the month of July, where they started off a fantastic winning streak at the hands of the Rangers. Well, I guess the Rangers were the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th games in that, what I believe went on to be a 10-plus game winning streak. All 1-run losses for the Rangers. That was an incredibly painful series for the Rangers, but the Orioles, it kickstarted something off for them. They traded their closer as well today. A team that is 500, above 500 now, has totaled their wins from last season already on August 2nd. They are already there. They could lose every single game for the rest of the year, and they would still have as many losses as they did last year. But I thought one of two things was going to happen. Either the Orioles were going to crumple and fall from the emotional loss of that, or they were going to be so pissed off that they took out that rage on the Rangers. Well, it turns out it was the second of those two options. The Rangers were doing absolutely nothing in this one. Things kept on going badly, not their way, time and time again. Even Ezekiel Duran had a hard luck error at second base. He's been playing a lot of second, while Marcus Semien is playing shortstop, while Corey Seager has been out with that thigh bruise. He came back in this one. He DH'd and went 0 for 3 in his first 3, and then, like he does, hit a dinger at Globe Life Field. Stop me if you heard that one before. His 24th of the season. Then Nick Solak, pinch hitting for Joshua H. Smith, came in, played third. He moved to second base. Ezekiel Duran moved to third base, but in his one at bat in this one, had his third home run, big league home run, I should say, of the season. Had some good moments in AAA. It was a rough start to him being sent back down there. It was a rough start to his major league season. Was supposed to be the guy in left field, and by the guy, I mean the guy to hit lefties in left field while Brad Miller was there. But season has not gone very well for him. There's still holding out some hope there. I mean, he does have a 652 OPS. Not horrendous this season, but as a guy with positional limitations and an offense first guy who has not been bringing the offense, it's a little tough to see that. But Garrett Richards pitched the bulk of this one, 3 innings for him, a pair of runs, just trying to do some mop-up work. Jose Leclerc got a pretty good inning and 2/3 in, but did allow a few of those inherited runners to score. Dennis Santana came in and got a much-needed relief outing of the shutout variety. Brett Martin was pretty close to getting 2 innings of shutout variety in the relief role. I know it's a really weird way to say that, but it was a weird game. Nathaniel Lowe had 3 singles, and I think all of them went to the opposite field because that's what Nathaniel Lowe does. But, Watkins was able to shut this Rangers squad down pretty easily. The first left-handed home run he had allowed this season, of course, it comes from Corey Seager. The 29-year-old righty has been pretty darn good for the Orioles this season, a 3.80 ERA. And then Mr. Keenan Aiken, Keenan Aiken came in for the 3-out save, allowed the 1 run, the home run to Mr. Nick Solak. And that's all I want to talk about this dumb game. And we are already at the 7-minute mark. We are going to get into that Juan Soto trade, if the Rangers could have beaten that. And, of course, discuss the first trade the Rangers have made this season at deadline time. But first, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. If you haven't heard of Built Bar Puffs yet, why are you depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys? And guess what? There's a new flavor. Ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. I love me some Built Puffs, and this cookie dough flavor is absolutely delicious. Like if you want to start your day off, I used to eat a whole lot of Pop-Tarts. Something like that is a little not healthy for you, not at all healthy for you. But Built Bar gives you that same kind of cookie dough flavor, and it's actually good for you. The cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories. They have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com, snag yourself a box for you and the family. It is the perfect treat, or you can find a really, really good hiding spot and hoard them for yourself. What's great about Built is all their bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently, provides a ton of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and it's good for you. You're going to love this new cookie dough chunk puff. Whether you need a snack for a workout, a late night treat, or you're just grabbing a quick bite, Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built bar. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thank you again for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every day. The MLB trade deadline is today, and Locked On MLB has all the breakdowns. Locked On Rangers will have rapid reactions to any move that's made. Subscribe now to your favorite Locked On Rangers podcast, Locked On MLB Show, doing a live show tonight. I will be on there if the Rangers do anything crazy tonight. On YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, to be notified when your new episode goes live. Now, let's look at this Juan Soto trade. Juan Soto and Josh Bell, former Dallas Jesuit great, are now San Diego Padres. I'm not sure if everything has gone officially official just yet, but this was an absolutely ginormous trade package. Absolutely ginormous. And here's what it is. According to Jeff Passan on Twitter at 1052, quote, the package going back to Washington for Juan Soto and Josh Bell, sources tell ESPN, includes left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, outfielder Robert Hassel III, shortstop C.J. Abrams, outfielder James Woods, right-handed pitcher Harlan Susanna, and one more major league player. That's the only holdup right now to the agreed-upon deal. And it came out just a little bit later that the major league player is, of course, Eric Hosmer, the ground ball gremlin, as he's called by beloved Locked On San Diego Padres host Javi Reyes. Very much love-hate relationship for him there. But in case you were worried about the Rangers, being the almost coulda, shoulda, why didn't you just go do this deal? The Rangers could not match this deal. They could not match it. They do not have a guy of C.J. Abrams's caliber, of Mackenzie Gore's caliber. Both those guys were top 5 prospects in all of baseball. Now, maybe Jack Leiter gets to be top 5 prospect in all of baseball status, but he has had a rough year unless he just explodes onto the scene next year and is dominating AAA, in which case I don't think he's going to be a top 10 prospect in all of baseball unless there's a bunch of graduations that happen and he just kind of, rises up there and has a dominant final few starts of his season. But I think by the time he becomes good enough to be top 5 prospect in all of baseball, he is already going to be at the major league level. Same with Kumar Rocker. Same with Brock. Well, Brock Porter might actually get there, but he's not top 5 prospect in all of baseball right now. And I don't know where he's going to start his season or when his season's going to start. But still, these are 2 guys that and a scout who has seen James Woods told me that he might be the number 1 or number 2 prospect in all of baseball. He might be the headliner in this deal when all is said and done. Robert Hassel III is an outfielder who I thought the Rangers might get in a trade for Joey Gallo. Last year, a very toolsy guy, very, very loud tools. C.J. Abrams is a guy who I've seen at AA and is absolutely fantastic, a legit shortstop with some legit pop and pretty good bat-to-ball skills. And, Mackenzie Gore is just absolutely nasty. He is on the shelf for a couple weeks with an arm injury, but he is still a very, very talented prospect who got back on the rails after last year. And for them to be able to get off Eric Hosmer, too. Hosmer is one of his 10 teams on his no-trade clause is Washington, so he's going to have to approve the deal to get it done, which I don't imagine that AJ Preller would let that be the one hold up his boss, or his agent, I should say, is the only Scott Boras, who is the agent of like half the players in this deal. So I'm pretty sure they'll have some kind of wink handshake agreement to get him even more money if he can waive that no trade clause and make this deal happen and get Juan Soto onto a good team and have Jurickson Profar and Juan Soto and Nomar Mazara and Jorge Alfaro all on the same team. But what does this mean for the Rangers? Well, it means their primary competition in the Joey Gallo trade sweepstakes, should they want to enter their name into the hat of that very, very unappealing sweepstakes right now. That's unappealing to most, but to fans like me who are just still obsessed with Joey Gallo a year and a half later, however long it's been since he was a Texas Ranger, and really want to buy low on that moment. The Rangers' main competition is gone. The Brewers just traded some decent parts of their farm for Matt Bush, and that's the main signal, I say it says, to how it affects the Rangers. Coming up, we're going to get into what the Matt Bush trade looks like, a little bit of a retrospective on his time here, and why I got something wrong last night talking about Matt Bush and his time with the Texas Rangers. But first, this word from our sponsors. So the Rangers have officially traded Matt Bush. Everything is all but official. Just the official team accounts have not tweeted it out yet. I haven't seen the jersey swap of the prospects and whatnot, but it went official really, really quickly after being reported. It felt like 5-10 minutes only went by the time the Rangers PR was tweeting about this deal getting done. Robert Murray, @by Robert Murray on Twitter, was the first one to get it. The Rangers are acquiring infielder Mark Mathias and left-handed pitcher Antoine Kelley, according to sources and according to the Rangers PR. Bush has been with the Rangers since 2016 after missing most of the last 3 seasons. The thing that I got wrong last night in my very rapid reaction was too rapid. a little too rapid. But I thought since he's been here since 2016, this is 6 years after that. This should be his last year. I thought that he only had one more year under contract, but that's not true. He has missed most of the last 3 seasons, and those do not count towards our arbitration eligibility or just team control eligibility. He pitched in 2016, 17, in 2018 he pitched here as well. 2021 he pitched in 4 games. I don't think that counted as the full season, which is why this is the first year he's arbitration eligible, which means he has 2 more seasons under team control. So he will be a Milwaukee Brewer should they not decide to release or trade him through the 2024 season. This year he has been really fantastic for the Rangers. He has a 2.95 ERA in 40 games, 36 2/3 innings, and 45 strikeouts. One of the few guys who can actually strike guys out in the Rangers' pen, which is why it really, really hurts to give him up. He is 98th percentile in fastball spin rate when it comes to fastball velocity. He's in the 84th percentile, 97 miles an hour, with the top 2% spin rate in all of baseball. Curveball spin isn't super great. Chase rate isn't super great, but the whiff rate, barrel percentage, K rate, walk rate, expected slugging, expected batting average, expected ERA, expected WOBA, all of those are in the red on Baseball Savant, with batting average, slugging, WOBA, and barrel percentage, along with the spin rate, all in the top 5% of Major League Baseball. He is a really, really darn good pitcher, and his story is, for all the times that sports washing happens to these stories of addiction or these comeback stories, like, we love a good comeback story in sports. For those of you who don't know much about Matt Bush, welcome. Very glad to inform you about this guy. A 2004 number 1 overall pick by the San Diego Padres out of Mission Bay High School in California. I'm pretty darn sure that is a San Diego suburb. He was a shortstop, and he was a guy who had a substance abuse problem. It was not great. And this is from a Levi Weaver article, actually last year, about him. But first, I want to read these quotes from John Daniels about the trade. Quote, "He has been inspirational in how he's turned his life around. He put himself on the map to where he was asked about by several teams. I told him it was bittersweet, but we're really happy for him and the opportunity, and he was highly sought after." This is from Matt Bush last night after the trade went down. He said he's a little shocked, definitely wasn't expecting it, but I guess it's a bittersweet moment. It's really hard to say goodbye here. This has been home for me for quite a while. My family and I have been treated so well here. The organization has always taken care of me first, and then baseball. And that is a testament to one of the things that this Ranger squad does really well, is take care of its players. Matt Bush is a special, special guy. And I think a lot of times the way that substance abuse gets looked at is just, oh, you're just a drunk. Oh, you're just a drug addict. Oh, you're this bad person, and you're always going to be like that. And some people go too far in writing people off, and it is a legit medical condition. Some people are more highly predisposed to it. This is not something that's just a choice. It starts off with that, but at a certain point it becomes out of a person's control. They need to seek help. They need to have those people around them to help give them the support system they need to recover and to stay sober. And to a huge credit to him, he has been able to do that. The Rangers have seen a player of exceptional caliber, another number 1 overall pick in a draft, Josh Hamilton, and help him overcome his struggles with substance abuse. But he, since baseball, has kind of fallen off that wagon, and his personal life has been really, really terrible. He has had a couple of court-mandated instances with his children and his ex-wife. It has just been really sad to see him struggle being away from baseball. But Matt Bush has really done a number on literally changing his life. There was a big incident, and this was something that Levi wrote last year when he was nearing comeback, before he did not end up coming back that season. This is a couple paragraphs from that. Quote, "When the Rangers line up on the Kauffman Stadium third base line on Thursday for MLB's latest starting line, Matt Bush will be roughly 3,298 little starting lines deep into recovery. More than 9 years since the drunk driving accident that permanently injured motorist Tony Tufano, who was 72 years old at the time." that was just a really, really great line. You should go check out that article. Levi tweeted it on. Go look at his Twitter account at 32ephus. But the story it's well documented. It's not the only thing that he went through. There was an assault at a nightclub really quickly after the draft. He had a bar fight in Arizona. He assaulted 2 lacrosse players in a high school parking lot, and he had a party in Florida where he threw a baseball at a woman. Since 2004 to the time he was arrested in 2012, he just made mistake after mistake after mistake. He went to a Florida correctional facility and pled no contest to driving under the influence with serious bodily injury. He had a plea bargain, resulted in 6 other charges that were dropped, but it carried a sentence of 51 months. In case you didn't know, that's why Matt Bush wears the number 51. Pretty darn special. Roy Silver is the guy who is credited with scouting him, meeting with him, and playing catch with him in a Golden Corral parking lot. I'm sure that if there has not already been a book about Matt Bush's life, there most definitely will be, because it is a great story of how to overcome addiction, and it is really, really powerful. Roy Silver is the guy who is credited with helping get Josh Hamilton back on track after his drug and substance abuse issues, and did a really good job of helping keep him on the rails while he was here playing with the Rangers and let him shine in his absolutely amazing God-given baseball abilities. But Matt Bush has missed quite a bit of time. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He has pitched in 4 games, 4 innings before this season since 2018. He came up in 2016. He was signed in 2016, breezed through the minor league system, started at Double-A, and was just absolutely nasty. And in the first major league win that he was credited in, he threw the pitch that started the Rougned Odor and Jose Bautista brawl. I know that a lot gets talked about guys who overcome substance abuse issues, and people just write it off as a one-off thing, as something that just, all right, you just did it and that's it. But no, it's in literally everyday process, and it is very, very hard to stay on that process. I have seen firsthand with some family members how difficult that process can be, but this guy is stuck with it, and he is genuinely remorseful for what he did, has taken steps to change who he is and how he operates, and is a real testament to the fact that people can change. You just have to want to, and that is very, very encouraging. But you know what else is encouraging? On a very, very different note, there's no graceful way to transition this into the prospect side, but the Rangers are getting a pretty good haul for him. He is under control for a couple more years. He does have 2 Tommy John surgeries, but not that much wear and tear on his arm, because he was in a correctional facility for so many years, and he was a shortstop coming up. So, but he does have 2 Tommy John surgeries, and he is 36 years old this season. But the Rangers are getting a couple of guys that are pretty solid. Mathias this is from Lindsey Crosby. He DM'd me last night. Quote, Mathias is a utility guy, good contact ability, not a ton of power until this year in AAA. And Kelley is a top 10 that is better than his numbers because he had thoracic outlet syndrome or thoracic outlet surgery and took him a while to come back. I think he is a true sleeper of a prospect. Fastball is 98 and the slider is sharp, although he is still walking too many guys. Control issues started after the surgery at the end of 2020. So as he continues to recover, I think he'll fix more of that. Now, who are these guys? Antoine Kelley is a 6'5", 205-pound left-handed pitcher who is 22 years old, drafted by the Brewers in the second round of the 2019 draft from Wabash Valley College in Mount Carmel, Illinois. He pitched in the Futures game this year, then has some just incredible strikeout stuff. Thoracic outlet surgery. That was ground zero for the Rangers in 2009, right before they started contending. There were quite a few guys who had thoracic outlet surgery. Also, I believe Cody Bradford is the one who had thoracic outlet surgery after his final year at Baylor before the Rangers drafted him, and he turns out seems to have recovered pretty darn well. But this year he is 22 years old, and in High A this year he has a 3.86 ERA in 19 starts, but 91 innings. He has 119 strikeouts. That is 11.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. At all 3 minor league levels, he has 12.1 strikeouts per 9 innings in his minor league career, which spans 2019, 2021, and, of course, this season. Does have a walk issue, though. does have quite a bit of walks this year. 5.1 walks per 9 innings, 52 in 91 innings, but only 5.9 hits per 9 innings. So he is at least limiting the base runners as much as you can when you're walking 5 guys per 9 innings. He had decent controlled numbers before that in 10 games in 2019 as a 19-year-old. He had just 2.6 walks per 9 innings in 31 2/3 innings. In 2021, that's where the walk problem started. After that thoracic outlet surgery, 8.8 walks per 9 in the 2021 season, which has come down to 5.1 this year. So that is good. That is improvement. He is going to start in Double-A, and I am very, very encouraged to see what he can do there. He slots in at the number 15 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. They have his fastball as a 60 grade, slider as a 55 grade, changeup as a 50 grade, and control as a 45. I think that will improve. You hear a bunch of different things about him, from a poor man's David Price to maybe he's like a Josh Hader if he ends up going in the pen. I tend to lean more optimistic on these guys. I mean, he's coming back off of thoracic outlet surgery. The Rangers seem to have gotten him at a good time. Both these guys seem to be kind of on the lower end of their value. I mean, Matt Bush's value has gone up this year from, if they traded for him last year when he was hurt, that probably wouldn't have been the best time to trade for him. But Antoine Kelley seems like a pretty darn decent prospect. Now, Mark Mathias played in college at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with one Spencer Howard, who is starting tonight against the Baltimore Orioles, coming off of his best start of the season. Maybe he can improve on that. But this guy is a career infielder, has played mostly second base, played a lot of third base at a bunch of different levels. He has been in Nashville this season, played 32 games at second base, 17 at third, 6 at shortstop, and 1 at DH. Has played just a little bit of the outfield in his career. In the minors, he has 333 games at second, 112 at third, 24 at shortstop. Let's see, where do we go? One at first base, and 11 in the outfield at the major league level. Yeah. So he's played a little bit of right field this year. In the big league level, he's got 2 seasons of major league. Well, not very, 2 seasons where he has been in the major leagues, I should say. In 2020, he played in 16 games then. 639 OPS, nothing too special. Does have his first MLB home run. Got that this year. Has played in 6 games. Has a 430 OPS. That one home run did a whole lot of work in his 17 plate appearances at the major league level this year. But in Nashville, 50 games so far this year in AAA. 202 plate appearances. Has 8 home runs, 8 doubles, a 938 OPS. Pretty solid work for him. Going to be another guy in the Brad Miller variety who's probably going to play quite a few different positions for the Rangers, a right-handed hitter who has shown a little bit of pop and seems to be a decent fielder. He just turned 28. Happy birthday, Mark Mathias. Welcome to the Texas Rangers organization. We'll get to be with his college buddy, and is a former third-round pick in 2015 from California Polytechnic State University, San Luis Obispo, by the Cleveland Guardians back in 2015. So that is what the Rangers got from this. I am encouraged by it. I don't know if the Matt Moore trade is going to yield a little bit more. Probably not, because Matt Moore doesn't have more years of control. There's less risk on him, I think, because he does have that new curveball and has looked very, very good. The only issue with him, again, is the walks. But outside of that, he has been really darn good. I think he is likely the only other move the Rangers make at the deadline. As much as I would love Joey Gallo, I don't think it's likely, even though I want to keep pushing that sunshine. But yeah, very, very encouraging return for him. We'll see what Matt Moore will bring. We'll see if how serious the Jon Gray injury is, if the Rangers want to go make that move for a young, controllable starting pitcher that will be under contract through next year, or maybe multiple years after that. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Deadline is just a few hours away. If you're listening to this right as it comes out, it might already passed. But I'll be back probably right after the deadline if the Rangers make anything splashy. If not, then I will be back tomorrow morning to do an episode recapping what happened at the deadline and talk a little bit more about this Matt Bush trade and maybe another great Spencer Howard outing and a win for the Texas Rangers. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Rangers. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube to Locked On MLB. Check out that live reaction show to the trade deadline if you're listening to this very quickly, or if you're not, go subscribe anyway and check out the show with Paul Francis Sullivan. He puts together a very, very great podcast. That'll do it for today's edition of Locked On Rangers. Until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.